Go and do it. If you believe in the Second Amendment, if you believe in the Constitution, black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out.
Folks, we have the hardest working man in media, Don Lemon. You know him, you love him. He no longer has to wear a suit and tie. He no longer has to sit behind a desk. He no longer has to invite me and apologize afterwards for wasting 12 minutes of my life debating a bad faith right wing actor. He is the host of the Don Lemon Show. It is extremely successful, nearing 1 million subscribers on YouTube. And he's Don Lemon on the streets. He's actually in there in Chicago talking to people. And I have him here to promote his fantastic show, where sometimes he talks to talking heads, and most of the time he actually goes out on the streets. And he was actually how long you spent in Chicago? A week, Don?
I spent, let's see, 4 days, five days.
He was in Chicago for 5 days. I call it Occupy Chicago, talking to the people resisting ICE. And we're going to talk about what it's like to resist ICE. We're going to talk about this, my words, Trump's Gestapo terrorizing just innocent people trying to live their life in Chicago. We're going to talk about Don Lemon pissing off the right wing for, just dropping some truth bombs about the problem of angry white terrorists and extremists, men. And then also we're going to talk about the media and how it's broken right now. But Don, welcome, sir.
Wajah, it is indeed an honor to be here. And just full transparency, Waj has been trying to get me to come on for a couple weeks now. And seriously, it has been nuts. And so I got back from Chicago 2 a.m. And I'm here because I want to talk to you, but I also love what you're doing. And you have always been out front and pissing people off, but you're pissing people off by telling the truth, and people don't want to hear it. They also, can I go there?
Go there.
Everyone wants to, oh my God, I wouldn't say it that way, or this kind of language or whatever. You got to piss people off. I'm tired of all the niceties, because that doesn't work in this administration. That doesn't work in this era. You got to dispense with the niceties and let's just be civil. Why do you want people to be civil when you are rounding them up off the street without due process, beating their faces and their heads into the ground, cuffing them either with handcuffs or restraint, throwing them into holding cells that aren't fit for animals, and then sending them off to a gulag in some other country that they have no idea? Why do you want people to be civil when you are breaking the Constitution, when you're not abiding by the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution that says basically you're supposed to give due process to all persons, not just citizens? And so I'm tired of being nice. I'm tired of worrying about, oh my gosh, what are people going to say about me? What's the right wing going to say? Some guy on a podcast is going to say something mean about me. I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't care. And we're in the era now where you cannot care. I actually think, now I won't say this because that'll get me in trouble, but maybe I'll say it. All right, I'll just say it. I think that these are the times that the Second Amendment was written for.
Damn.
And when you have a government, a tyrannical government that is taking over the streets and not abiding by the Constitution, that's the whole idea. What the Second Amendment was meant for, was written for, is to fight against a tyrannical government that has overreached and is not taking care of the citizens anymore. That's sicking the police and military on its own citizens. That's what's happening right now. So I'm surprised the right wing isn't up in arms saying, oh my gosh, we have a tyrannical government that has military out on the streets against its own citizens. We need to believe in the Second Amendment. We need to believe in states' rights. What happened to smaller government? What happened to don't get into my business? Let me deal with my business because I'm a conservative. They're the ones who would be outraged. Imagine if this was on the left. What the hell would be happening? So I say, perhaps people who are having to deal with this, the least of these, the citizens who are being scooped up, the American citizens who are being scooped up, perhaps they need to really figure out what the Second Amendment is really about and go out and do it legally and purchase some things, because you never know when someone's going to come to your house and knock on the door and try to take you away, even if you're an American citizen. And I know it's happening because I interviewed people in Chicago who it happened to, and I know that they're American citizens because I saw their passports, their government IDs, and their social security cards. And when you came to their house, you didn't want to see it. I'm just saying.
No, and you know what? This has been happening throughout American history. And what I've been talking to folks about is first they came after black folks and people said, eh. Then they came after undocumented people, said, whatever. Then they came after pro Palestinian activists, so like maybe they're Hamas. Then they came after transgender folks. And we kept saying, you know what? A fascist comes for everyone at the end. And now you're seeing white skulls being cracked. You're seeing 79-year-old white men being thrown to the ground. You're seeing Kat Abu Ghazala, who's like 5 foot nothing, could pass for a white blonde girl being completely manhandled by ICE. You're seeing kids being zip tied. You're seeing Senator Padilla of California getting bum rushed by ICE agents. Remember that? You're seeing
Yeah.
friggin' them raise guns at Maxine Waters. You're seeing Mayor Baraka of New Jersey being arrested just trying to keep his community safe.
Was
And now
Landon
we
here
realize,
in New York City, remember?
yep. And you're seeing
Lander.
Brad Lander. And then the same place where Brad Lander got arrested just a couple of weeks ago, you saw that poor young woman who was just crying, pleading with the ICE officer, saying, just tell me where my husband is. And he had the cameras on him, Don. You saw it. And he tackled her. These people are working with impunity. They're masked. They're armed. They don't even give you their ID. And what I've been saying, Don, and I've been worrying about this for a while, this is a country with more guns than people, 400 million guns, right? And if these people keep working with impunity, what I warned about is there's going to be copycats, criminals who are simply going to be masked, say that they're ICE agents, and commit crimes. We've already seen that right now. And we know throughout U.S. history, folks, I know people might not like hearing this, but check it out. This happened in my hometown of the Bay Area. This type of assault, unlawful activity against black folks. So black folks said, okay, we got the Second Amendment. You all can carry arms. We're going to carry arms. Black
That's right.
Panthers started carrying arms. And what did this country do? Governor Ronald Reagan and the NRA, you know what they did, Don? They said, we need gun control. And they decided, wait, only the white men can carry guns and terrorize people.
Yeah.
Oh, when's black folks doing it legally? Again, folks, legally. And they were just like, listen, we don't want to use this, but we're going to carry it. You can't put your arms on our women and our kids. Then they passed gun control in the United States of America. So, do you think, and this is just us teasing it out there, and because we also saw in Springfield, Ohio, because of Donald Trump and these racists deliberately promoting the hateful Nazi conspiracy theory of Haitians eating dogs and pets, and folks, they knew it was a lie, they still promoted it. You saw these Patriot Front groups and Nazis and all these right-wing groups terrorize the people. And what happened in Springfield, Ohio? You saw the black community, one man with a gun,
Yeah.
making sure they were crossing the street peacefully. Is that what Chicago is going to devolve into, Don? Because you were there for 4 days.
Okay, so let me just say this. You're saying what I'm saying, and I just want to be very clear here. I am not condoning or promoting violence, but what I
Of course
am
not.
saying
No. We
is
all know.
that
We all.
when those, but when those, and look, that should go without a caveat. And you know what? The folks on the right say it all the time, and no one, and then they get promoted, and they still have platforms, and people are like, yeah, right, Second Amendment, I get to carry my gun. You know the whole thing. But the moment that you and I say it, because a black and a brown brother, they say, "Oh my gosh, what are they saying?" Yeah, I'm saying, here's what I'm saying to black and brown people, to Mexican people, to people who are here legally and who can go and buy a gun legally and have a license to carry legally. Go do it. Why not? Go do it. It is your Second Amendment right. So I say to all the black households, go out and get your firearm and be safe with it and keep it in a safe place and teach your kids about how to use it safely or how to stay away from it safely when they're a kid. Go and do it. If you believe in the Second Amendment, if you believe in the Constitution, black people, brown people of all stripes, whether you're an Indian American or a Mexican American or whoever you are, go out in your place where you live and get a gun legally, get a license to carry legally. Because when you have people knocking on your door and taking you away without due process as a citizen, isn't that what the Second Amendment was written for? Go back and read what the Second Amendment says. And perhaps it will knock some sense in the heads of these people who are saying, well, it's all great. I don't believe they're doing it without due process. They're asking people for papers. They're not really beating people up. These people are doing things that are illegal. Nobody is illegal. It is a misdemeanor to cross the border. Now, if you do it a number of times, then it becomes something else. But it is nowhere near the level of criminality that a 34 count a business documents or whatever it is, forgery or whatever it is, whatever that Donald Trump did. Is nowhere near the level of criminality. We have degrees of criminality in this country. And what Donald Trump did is at the highest level of criminality, except for taking someone's life, and someone who is crossing the border is nowhere near that. So go out, guys. Do what the Republicans say. Do what the right wing folks say. Go get your gun. Do it legally. You have a right to carry it around with you. And then also, if you want to, carry the flag with it and your Constitution and say, this is America. This is my right as an American citizen, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm tired of all the mealy mouth. I'm tired of playing nice. I'm tired of people saying turn the other cheek. That's what got us into this position in the first place.
Yeah, it's the both sides. You can't both sides fascism. You can't both sides, if you will, a genocide. You can't both sides this stuff. You have to take a side. And furthermore, if you want to see the quickest path towards gun control, this is some dark humor, but it's happened before in the past, folks. I'm bringing the receipts. If you see a bunch of black and brown folks, bearded Muslim black and brown folks carrying guns peacefully, just sitting at their porch carrying a gun, just like you see white folks doing.
That's all right.
If you see a bunch of black and brown folks doing it in America, two things are going to happen. Number one, you're going to have the NRA say gun control now. And secondly, unfortunately, you're going to see a huge brouhaha on the right wing accusing the rest of us of being criminals and terrorists and invaders and rapists and all this other stuff. Meanwhile, the number one domestic terror threat in America for the past 10 years, nothing come close, is right-wing terrorism that intersects with white supremacist terrorism. Number one amount of plots, number one amount of victims. And furthermore, you mentioned something about the hypocrisy of cracking down on crime, and yet this is the most criminal administration. I think we should focus on that for a second, because Donald Trump and Stephen Miller have unleashed their own Gestapo, not in Mexico, folks. The border is now in Portland. The border is now in LA. The border is now in Chicago. The border is in DC. And the Supreme Court has given them a green light for racial profiling. These cities, these mixed ethnic cities with black mayors, it ain't lost on the rest of us. Portland, although is very white, but it resists. Meanwhile, Don, like you said, Donald Trump is the only convicted criminal president, 34 counts of falsifying business records, accused of sexually abusing women, held liable for sexually assaulting E. Jean Carroll, held liable for defamation, has committed fraud. Letitia James got him on a civil fraud case. He also had to end his university and his charity and to pay out more than $20 million worth of fines, because who friggin' creates a charity to defraud people? Donald Trump. And of course, Don, because I bring the receipts, closest friend of Jeffrey Epstein, as he is unleashing the Gestapo against innocent Americans in Chicago, and I want to know more about what people said, no one has explained, Don, why Glenn Maxwell in his minimum security camp getting all the perks, no one has explained why his border czar, Tom Homan, took $50,000 in an FBI sting. And when they ask Pam Bondi, where is the $50,000? She refuses to give the answer. And finally, nobody I talk about all the time, why did Donald Trump pardon 1,600 insurrectionists, including the violent ones who were convicted of a seditious conspiracy against the United States of America? So I'm with you. I don't play by the rigged game anymore. I don't do both sides. I call out the bullshit. Here you are, the most criminal entity in the entirety of the right wing that praises as your king and daddy a man who incited a violent insurrection, pardoned them, and protects pedophiles, but you are comfortable unleashing ICE against innocent black and brown people. Miss me with that shit.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And there are people saying, I don't agree with you. I see you in the comments. I don't agree with you, Don. More guns. I don't want more guns either. I would like a lot fewer guns. I'm not talking about assault weapons. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the right that people have as citizens in the United States. And if you really want, look, someone said a gun may not keep me from something. I forget what they said, but it'll keep me from getting kidnapped. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I don't know, and maybe it'll just knock some sense into the head of the people who don't understand that we have gone far beyond of what the Constitution allows us to, should allow people to do, far beyond what the law should allow people to do. Courts are telling them that you can't do this, that you have to take certain people, certain members of the military off the streets. What are they doing? They're holding them there until they can appeal, and then another judge can say, okay, you can go, and then they have to do another judge. So they don't care. They're defying federal judges at this point. At some point, as citizens, you have to say enough already, because we have not. People say we're sliding into fascism. We're not sliding into fascism. We've careened into fascism. We are there now with someone who is doing everything they can to try to divert attention away from the Epstein file. What's in those damn files that you are so afraid of revealing that you have to distract people from with all kinds of news, even if it's about a peace deal? Let's hope it, it holds.
It
But if
hasn't.
it's about creating,
Israel already broke the ceasefire and killed Palestinians as of like an hour ago.
well, see, now I didn't know that. I just finished my show a little bit. Are you serious?
Yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
Israel
yeah, it's
already.
just there. I just got it. The note, as soon as you said that, came across from my producer, and it's being reported by Al Jazeera. Israel shoots dead at least 9 Palestinians in Gaza despite ceasefire. That's
Yep.
according
It
to
went from 5 to 9 in
Al
about 10
Jazeera.
minutes. Could have told you. In fact, said it yesterday. And and they gave Donald Trump a Time magazine cover for that shit. Anyway, continue, Don.
I don't even know what to say anymore. So despite all the distractions that you're trying to do with that, yesterday to me felt like I kept saying, I hope this is real. I hope it works. But the more I watched it, especially I watched it with the sound down. The only time I ever watch linear television is when I'm in a hotel room because you pop it on and it's right on the cable, right? I don't even have cable at my house anymore. And so I'm sitting there and I'm watching with the sound off, doing my work. And it looked like Wag the Dog to me. I said, who is producing, or who is the director, the one in the control room for this Trump Inc. production that's happening in the world after 2024, when he told people not to sign off on Biden's deal and Bibi Netanyahu because it might affect his chances negatively of becoming president of the United States? Who is the one that is orchestrating this? Donald Trump is the man behind the curtain. But there's a control room somewhere going, okay, our production team going, we're going to do this, and then we're going to have this summit, and then we're going to put him in front of a Peace 2025 sign, and we're going to do that. That's what's happening, and people don't even realize that they're being played. Look, if Donald Trump gets peace in the Middle East or Gaza and Israel, if he can stop them from fighting and killing the fewer lives that are lost, I'm all for that. He should get whatever accolade that he wants. But until I see that happening, then I'm going to be a skeptic, because that's what I'm supposed to do as a journalist. Until I see a deal that treats the people of Gaza, the Palestinian people, fairly for getting schools and roads and hospitals and infrastructure and libraries rebuilt, until I see some concrete evidence of that, and for some sort of restitution and some reparations to the Palestinian people, until I see that, then I don't believe that this is a peace deal.
Nope.
I think that this is just a pause in the fighting until someone else can come in and start bombing or start encroaching on land and territory. That's how I see it.
And that's how you should see it, because there was no mention of Palestinians, there was no mention of the West Bank, there was no mention of the pathway towards statehood. Furthermore, Israel had already set its intentions by the Security Cabinet ruling that they're going to control Gaza City, move the people of Palestine. What does that mean? Ethnic cleansing. They already, I'm sure for your show tonight, you're going to see that they have already restricted the amount of aid that was supposed to come in. So Israel already did that. So what ceasefire? There's already phase 5 starvation. Gaza has just been completely destroyed. And furthermore, Israeli officials, I'm sure you can play their tweets. They're openly saying, yeah, we're going to resume doing what we had to do after we get the hostages back. So everyone knew this was going to happen. Donald Trump got played yet again by Netanyahu. I just want to remind people, in the first administration, we had something. President Barack Obama did something that pissed off a lot of hawks. He did the Iran nuclear deal. Who blew it up, Don? Donald Trump.
Donald
Uh,
Trump.
and remember, and then people said, oh, we should have probably kept that. But he was so vindictive towards black people and women. No, no, no. If Obama did it, I got to blow it up. And then who played Donald Trump a couple of months ago? Netanyahu, yet again. And Donald Trump almost took us to World War III, bombed Iran, didn't even destroy the nuclear facility. And now I've been saying it, folks, for 2 days. I was with Don. I said, if this holds, wonderful. I don't care. I want people to be safe, but I know these players. Donald Trump is going for his photo op. Donald Trump is pissed off he didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize, because who got it? Obama got it. And now, notice, Israel was smart. He goes, okay, we'll give you that. Benjamin Netanyahu came out and said, look at this peace deal. This is a man of peace. The Knesset gave him an applause because he's a child. They know about his ego. Donald Trump got his Time magazine cover that he's really pissed off about, which is hilarious. And a day later, folks, back to normal, because it's exactly what the Israeli regime wants. They are telling you, trust the evidence of your eyes and ears. Speaking about the fascism at home, Don, you showed me a clip that you said went viral. I keep telling
Can I
people,
show it for people?
yeah, yeah.
Show it for the
Trust the
folks.
evidence of your eyes and your ears. Just listen to this administration and see what they're doing. Don't listen to me and Don. And you said of your 4-day coverage, this is the clip that went most viral.
Yeah, I'm gonna play this for you guys. I'm gonna make sure that I get it from the beginning.
He wonder is he qualified? He a piece of shit, bro. Like he the one said that a couple gun deaths is okay.
Wait, hold on. Let me go back to the beginning. This guy.
I say what I want to say. I got a freedom of speech regardless of what Donald Trump thinks. I can say the fuck I want to say.
What do you want to say to Donald Trump?
Fuck Donald Trump. Die from natural causes. Damn Bundy an idiot. Christy Gnome ugly. Fuck Donald Trump. Get the fuck out of our city. Basically, like, get them quit racial profiling people. And I just hate all this shit. I hate them.
Why is it pissing you off so much?
Because they racist. I know deep down it's all like some racist shit. You see this shit all over the news and all over the TV, seeing this dumbass shit they saying that day and all this dumbass shit they doing and shit. Once I rolled past here and saw people protesting shit, it's I don't know. I just want to be heard. They just some fucking idiots, man. I don't know. They ain't really no other way to put it. They racist. And they don't like me and I don't like them. And, like they got a problem with a motherfucker like me, but they love Charlie Kirk. Like, what the fuck? Charlie Kirk's a piece of shit. I don't get no fuck. I got a job too. I don't get no fuck. Dox me. You better not pull up where I be at. Charlie Kirk running around saying stupid ass, racist ass shit, all type of dumb ass shit. And they call him a patriot and he was a piece of shit. He was a racist. He said if he see a black pilot, he wonder is he qualified. He a piece of shit, bro. Like he the one said that a couple gun deaths is okay for the Second Amendment. He said that shit. Then when he get shot, we all supposed to cry. He was talking shit the minute the bullet hit his neck. He still talking shit. His stupid ass wife still out here being racist and trying to throw Super Bowl shows. They dumb as hell. And Bad Bunny, Puerto Rican, they don't even know he American. They just racist. Like they just see, oh, he's brown. I'm just racist, bro. So fuck all of. I say what I want to say. I got to freedom.
That's awesome. I never saw that entire clip. That's that guy. You know what? I think we need that energy, Don. I think we need to stop playing. Look, I've been saying this for a while.
That's what I'm saying, Waj. I hate to cut you off. That's what I'm saying. And people are loving him. There are like white women on there going, I want to marry this man. I love him. Finally, someone speaking the truth. People are tired. He said, and people there said, I'm tired of people telling me how I should react, what I can and cannot say, how I'm supposed to mourn, how I'm supposed to celebrate. I can't call someone out who was a racist because they died from the very thing that they promoted. Are you kidding me? I can't speak up for my Latino brothers and sisters who are being yanked off the streets. And not only because they're being yanked off the streets, but we're being yanked off the streets as well. Everyone, I got to tell you, Waj, it'll be very controversial. Everyone gets their turn at being the N-word. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't stand up you didn't stand up for the black folks, if you don't stand up for the brown folks who are being treated as the N-words or the sand N-words, as they call them, if you don't stand up for those folks, then you are eventually, no matter your color or gender, you're going to end up being the N-word in America. And they're going to yank your ass off the street and put you in a lockup. And then what are you going to do? Be outraged by it? You can't be outraged by it because the precedent has already been set and you have allowed it.
And you know what's happening right now in Portland, folks? You've been to Portland. I've been to Portland. Portland's a great place. Portland is very white. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're a white woman. They don't care. You're Mike Pence running for your life on January 6, 2021, the vice president of the United States of America. Donald Trump didn't care. You can't get more white and more conservative and more Christian than Mike Pence. They're now going after John Bolton. Bomb Iran, John Bolton. They don't care. They're going to go after Chris Wray. They're going to go after James Comey. They already are. They don't care. Fascists come for everyone. And you all need to just look at the evidence of your eyes and ears. And I'm so glad I didn't hear that that full clip. He talked about Charlie Kirk. Today is Charlie Kirk's National Day of Remembrance. And I think you agree with me, and I know you do because I've heard you talk about it. The murder is despicable. The alleged suspect is Tyler Robinson. Kash Patel of the FBI completely effed up. Thank God that Tyler Robinson's father, I believe, convinced him to turn himself in. Otherwise, Kash Patel will just say, hey, get me into Valhalla. He wasn't doing anything with the FBI.
Does Kash Patel really think he's going to get into white heaven?
Yeah. Viking heaven.
Come on, Cash. Do you know what Valhalla? Anyways, go on.
He's gonna be knocking on the door. I hear you guys are partying. Let me in. They're like, Cash and Usha.
Can you go mow the lawn?
Yeah. Cash and Usha. We have some accounting to do. We're gonna send you our bills. But today is Charlie Kirk's National Day of Remembrance, and that gentleman that you talked to, I think is perfectly legitimate. I was on Piers Morgan. It was 3 versus 1. You were on Piers Morgan as well. They were so upset.
Okay.
They were so upset at me that I actually brought out Charlie Kirk's entire quotes. I actually remembered Charlie Kirk, the way he actually lived his life by talking about black people and Muslims and women. Notice how they never, ever, ever quote Charlie Kirk. And once you actually quote Charlie Kirk, they get really pissed off, Don, because it's proof that Charlie Kirk lived his life like a racist, an Islamophobe, a xenophobe, a misogynist. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, the way they did the hagiography, and they're doing the hagiography of Charlie Kirk, now I understand why this country has statues and monuments named after racist slave owners who lost a war. Your take.
What he said. That's seriously, that's my take. Look, I don't understand how you make someone like that into a martyr. And look, it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways. The man should not have died that way. No one
Nope.
deserves it. I do not believe in political violence. I don't care who commits the political violence and who it's against. That is not what we should be doing. What I'm fighting for and what I believe in is abiding by the Constitution and treating people like human beings, having some humanity and compassion in our society. And that's why I'm so against what's happening with ICE rounding up people who are, people who are just trying to live their lives. Should everybody come over the border or immigrate here, and go through all the proper channels? Yes. But we don't live in a perfect world. We don't know why people are coming. We don't know what kind of hardships they're facing from the places they're coming from. We don't know what they're running from, but we know what they're running to. They're running to a place of opportunity and democracy and where we treat people like human beings. And the moment we stop that, then we become the actual countries that they're running from.
Yeah.
We become as bad or worse than the countries that they're seeking perhaps asylum from, or they're trying to get, they're running away from the hardships or from the authoritarianism or from a dictator. We become that very thing when we don't give all persons due process in this country, when we don't treat human beings like human beings. So, I don't understand why they're trying to make a martyr out of someone who denigrated black people, black women, black men, women in general. I don't get it, unless it's to prove some political point and to elevate themselves politically and professionally. That's it.
I get it. And I think the guest that you had on who brought the receipts, he hit on the head. He used the R word, racism. And I said the two enduring sins of this country are white supremacy and capitalism, racism and greed. And he called it out. And I think the reason why people appreciated it, he didn't give an F. He said it straight. He brought the receipts, right? And I think it's racism. Racism is the glue that connects everything, Don, because you look at it. You're unleashing the Gestapo. You're unleashing ICE against innocent people in Chicago. You brought the videos, innocent people in Portland, LA, DC, but you're perfectly fine protecting pedophiles like Ghislaine Maxwell. You won't release the Epstein files. You'll pardon 1,600 insurrectionists, including violent ones with violent backgrounds. You'll pardon Russ Ulbricht, who was the founder of Silk Road, the digital hub of sex trafficking and weapons trafficking, right? You're perfectly fine with, you praise Don, you praise white men who kill black people. You praise the guy who choked out and killed that man on the subway. You give him a job. Andreessen Horowitz gave him a job. You praise Kyle Rittenhouse, who brought a gun and killed 2 white men. The Governor Abbott pardoned a man who came with a violent intent to a BLM rally. I don't know. I'm forgetting his name. I think it's Daniel Penny or Daniel Perry is his name. A jury of his peers convicted this man, and Governor Abbott pardoned him. This is what happened in the past. Oh, you're part of the white lynch mob. Oh, you're a white man who got with the good old boys and chased those N-words off the street and maybe lynched them. Don't you worry. You'll be acquitted, much like the killers of Emmett Till. It's what's happened throughout history, right? And I talked to Jen Budd. Jen Budd is a whistleblower. I think you should have her on her show. She's fantastic. She was in the Border Patrol for 6 years and she quit. And she said, this is the culture of ICE. This is the racist culture of ICE. It goes back to this racism that happened in, during segregated America in certain places, sundown towns, right? If you were black, Tell them what happened if you were black and God forbid you were there 2 minutes past sundown in a southern state.
Tell them what would happen. I
Yeah.
know because I grew up in the South. And I have been to places I'll just tell you the story. So if you're in a sundown town, it's like, you better get out of here, boy, or whatever. Or if it was back in the day, you probably would end up dead, okay? Or hanging from a tree. But now there are sundown towns and they will drive you out with a gun, or some sort of violence or harm is going to come to you. I remember when I was in high school, I went to Baker High School, and Central Louisiana was known as this very racist place. And we went to a dance. I went with my friends to a dance at Central, I think it was Central High School. Yeah, Central High School. We went to a dance and I got out of the car and they were like, nigger, you
Wow.
better get your ass back in that damn car. What's wrong with you? And I was with my friends. I was with two white friends, and they were like, let's go. Let's get the fuck out of here. And this was the 1980s. That's been a while, but that still exists. And my family talks about it. And when I'm there, I experience some of it. Is it the same? Is it as overt? No. But I tell you what, it's not you cannot have a school that is that openly racist, right? You can't have institutions like that. But what you can do is what is happening now is that you have a president who has become the imprimatur for your bigotry. And so you're okay with saying it out loud in a drive-through line, in a restaurant, on a podcast, on your social media, yelling at someone like a Karen. People feel emboldened now because of Donald Trump. And Donald Trump is going to get a lot of people's asses kicked, right? Because they feel like it's okay. It's open season. They can call people the N-word. They can yell at people. They can, it's their world now. And a lot of people are mistaken about that. And that's why I'm just saying I'm tired of people being mealy-mouthed. And people need to start fighting back, meaning fighting back in whatever form that's possible. I don't believe in violence. But if someone calls me out in public or says something to me, I'm going to give them that same energy right back to them. I'm not turning the other cheek anymore. I'm thinking, okay, because if you do that, then they think it's okay to do it to the next person, or to do it to me again, or to do it to my niece, or my mother, or my uncle, or my dad, or my grandfather, or my child. You're not doing that. Who do you think you are, bigot? You're being a racist right now. Shut the fuck up and get out of my face. But now they think it's okay to do it because Donald Trump does it. Donald Trump tells law enforcement they can beat people up. They can do whatever they want. They can treat them harshly. Donald Trump is telling people what Malcolm X did, by any means necessary. And so now I think that we need to figure out whatever the meaning now, the current modern meaning for us, the people who don't believe in this tyranny and bullshit, what by any means necessary means to us. Now, I will tell you, what you won't hear from these bigots and these racists and these people who are on podcasts and on streaming and are the manosphere and all of the MAGA influencers, what you will hear them talk about all the time is how bad black people are, how criminal black people are, how violent black people are, how Mexicans are criminals and immigrants are criminals, and brown people are coming over taking our jobs and they don't want H-1B visas or whatever. They'll tell you, they'll do story after story after story about that, demonizing minorities, demonizing gay people, the other. But you know what they will never really have a fulsome conversation about is the crisis of young, not necessarily so young, but white men in this country who feel disenfranchised and they feel like they have to go and pick up a gun and then start shooting people randomly at a mall or in a theater or at a church. That's what they're not talking about. They won't have a fulsome, real, honest conversation about what the FBI says, about what the Cato Institute says, about what the Anti-Defamation League says, about all of the other people who keep these numbers and do these studies and the stats, is that the number one perpetrator of political violence in this country are white men who are radicalized to the right. It is right wing radicalism that is the perpetrator, the biggest perpetrator of political violence in this country. It is also the biggest perpetrator of domestic terrorism in this country. The people who will more than likely pick up a gun and randomly start shooting people because of political ideology, which is usually to the right. They will not have an honest conversation about that. Instead, they want to deflect about what? Well, black people, you have these problems in these cities with them. Yeah, that we do have those problems. And that is a whole different conversation. But what about the one with the issue that we have now about domestic terrorism and about political violence? What about that conversation? What about the crisis that you admit that young men feel disenfranchised? But the moment you start connecting that to gun activity and to domestic terrorism and to political violence, oh, whoa. We can't talk about that. We got to talk about the violent people of color, the violent dark people. So that is the bullshit racism that they are allowed to get away with. And I'm sick of people getting away with it. And you know what? I don't give a fuck anymore. I'm going to tell you about it. And I'm going to talk about it in as many spaces as possible. And you're not going to stop me. You know why? Because I have a First Amendment right as an American citizen. And doubly so because I'm a journalist. I am in a profession that is protected by the very First Amendment of the fucking Constitution. Get over it and get used to it, because I'm not going anywhere and I'm going to continue to do it. Too bad. I don't give a fuck if you don't like it.
Dawn Unleashed is my favorite Dawn and Hit Dogs Holler, which is why the right wing is so pissed off at Dawn, because like Dawn and Joy, he calls out the enduring sin, the sin that's burning down America, which is not black folks, which is not immigrants, which is not Haitians, which is not Muslims, which is not transgender athletes. It's racism, and specifically it's white supremacy. And the hoods are off. You're right, Don. The hoods are off. They got Stephen Miller now. They got Donald Trump. They're saying what was in their heart the entire time. And as Don said, when it comes to mass shootings, 95% of mass shooters in this country, men. Majority of mass shooters, anyone take a guess? White men. And we've seen repeatedly, every single study, like Don mentioned, the number one domestic terror threat in America in terms of plots, in terms of attacks on law enforcement, in terms of when it comes to actual violence and victims, it is done by white men radicalized online. I want to talk about real quick, this is just from the past couple of weeks. The alleged killer, Charlie Kirk, wasn't you, wasn't me, wasn't they, wasn't them, was Tyler Robinson, white man from a Christian conservative family. The man who killed Mormons, blew up the church, white man, Trump voter. The man who shot at ICE detainees, radicalized white man, 29 years old, allegedly a libertarian, but radicalized online, right? The man who had a list of 70 Democrats and liberals that he wanted to kill, ended up killing, unfortunately, Melissa Hortman, her husband, her dog, Vance Bolter, white man. All of this is projection, Don. And like you said, instead of looking inward, instead of saying, oh, look at the number one problem, look at the threat, let's talk about racism, they project, they create these false flags. Now they've gone after Antifa. Now they're going after indicators of left-wing terrorism, right? Now they're going after thought police, right? You can't say anything against ICE or Christianity. And they're going against black and brown folks, and also now white folks. White folks. If you thought it would be limited just to Palestinians and Muslims and black people and Latinos, I give you Portland. And so the question I have for you, Don, is because you pissed off a lot of people on the right wing by using the R word, by talking about domestic terrorism, by talking about the problem of angry white men. What is your solution? What can this country do to finally, if you will, wait for it? I've been waiting for this for 25 years. Moderate angry white men. How do we moderate angry white men in this country, Don Lemon? The question that has been asked about black people and Muslims and Latinos for decades. The problem of angry white men, and what is the solution? Don Lemon?
Well, I think part of the solution is some of the things that we've been talking about right here. Because there are certain people who believe that they own this country, even though it is stolen land. They think that it is their country. And I think that black people and any minorities who have been victim to all of this racist bullshit need to figure out and read the Constitution to figure out what our rights are and how we respond from there. And if we do that, I think it will empower more people. They'll understand their exact rights as it relates to the Second Amendment. They'll understand their exact rights as it relates to the First Amendment. They'll understand their exact rights as it relates to the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution and every other constitutional amendment that affects all of us. And so I think that we have to stop being mealy-mouthed and afraid to respond and afraid someone's going to call us racist or someone's going to take something out of context. Nothing matters anymore with that. You got to fight fire with fire. And I think if you give them their same energy back, most of these people are cowards.
Oh yeah, weak.
When you see them on the street and you start talking to them, you realize you're just a misinformed coward who has been co-opted by someone either on the internet or in conservative media, and you think that they are telling you the truth when they're getting rich off of your back. And so I think we just need to start standing up and stop being afraid. I think that's the thing. Now, I don't know how much that's going to affect white men, but that will definitely affect the way that they react to us.
I agree. And folks, bullies have weak jaws, weak knees, and weak cankles. You've seen it. Every time you stand up to the Trump administration, you stand up to Donald Trump, Stephen Miller, Pete Hegseth, Pat and Bondi, they do not respond well, folks. They cannot take it because they're not used to it, because all of this is projection, because internally they're cowards. They know they're weak. They know they're mediocre. They know they have to rig the system. They know they have to ban people like me and Don from the government, get rid of DEI, because they know they can't compete. So this is what happens when we were in school. The bullies pick on the weakest kid and they make an example out of that kid. And they expect everyone else to then bend the knee. But you know what happens when one or two people stand up to the bully? Courage, like hope, is contagious. And then the bully withers. And Donald Trump is a weak bully who has failed up in life due to wealth, whiteness, and celebrity. But I always say, Don, there's more of us than there are of them, which is why I love that video you showed of that young black man, because I think he represents the energy that is necessary. He was peaceful. He kept it real.
He's
He brought
smart,
the evidence.
too. You know how he's smart? Because he said, I hope Donald Trump dies. And I cringed, and he goes, of natural causes. And I went, well, you can't fight. He's not condoning.
He was smart, and he called them out. Hit Dog Zoller.
Yeah.
He said they're racist. The
Yeah.
core underlying fear, the core underlying engine of all of this is white supremacy and racism. And white supremacy has always been self-destructive, has always been cowardly, has always been insecure. Folks, we have the better narrative. We have the better story. We have more numbers. We have the better food. We have the better looking women. We have the better salsa dips. The Multicultural Coalition of America, which includes the whites, folks, includes the whites. I want to be clear. We have the better story. We have to stand up and fight. And what I will say is this about Malcolm X. Malcolm X is unlike Donald Trump in the sense that Malcolm X used peace and he said, by any means necessary, we have to get freedom. And he was on the recipient. He was on his community was on the receiving end of white supremacy and violence. And folks, as Don said, everyone becomes Muslim. Everyone becomes black. Everyone becomes brown real quick under fascism. Fascists are coming for everyone. If you don't believe in me and Don, look at what's happening in Portland. Look at what they're going after John Bolton. Look, they're going to go after Christopher Wray. They've already gone after Comey. These guys were the head of the FBI. Look at me and Don. We ain't the head of the FBI. We ain't white men. So what do you think they're going to do to you if they go after Bolton, Pence, and Comey? We are all in this. You cannot both sides fascism, and you cannot both sides a genocide, which is happening in Palestine. I heard. Go ahead.
Can I jump in and say something before we go? Because someone in the comments reminded me of something when you were talking about what our reaction should be. I forgot about religion, because that is a huge problem. This religious nationalism, white nationalism, is all tied into the same thing. We have to remember that we have a separation of church and state. And we also have to understand, I just wrote a book that was released last September. So it is September a year ago, on religion and on faith, and how people misinterpret the Bible and scripture, and they think that it means something that it is not. We have to remember that scriptures are parables. It's mythology. These are not 100% true, factual things that happen. And so when Mantratic in the comments says, Jesus turned the other cheek, he taught us to humble bullies. That was a lesson. That is not a concrete, this is what you should do. That was also centuries ago. So these are things that will teach you how to be a better person and to teach you how to conduct yourself generally. But you also have to live in the time that you're in right now. And if turning the other cheek is not going to get you to a place of love, a place of salvation, a place of something that's godly, then at certain points, you're going to have to learn how to conduct yourselves in order to get to that place. Otherwise, that person who you are fighting against is going to be the winner, and you're going to get an outcome that is not preferential to you. And so I think we need to rethink our whole relationship with religion especially in this country with religious nationalism and evangelicalism and all those things, because it is detrimental to this country. If you look at what happened on that stage in Arizona for
Yeah.
Charlie Kirk's funeral, that was religious and white nationalism on display there. And so I think that we need to rethink our relationship with the Bible and with God, and especially with religious fundamentalism. And I mean evangelical Christians and so forth. That's what I'm
It's
talking.
white. It's white Christian nationalism, and Russ Vought, who is the shadow president of the United States of America and the co-author of Project 2025, who Donald Trump just publicly now bear hugged, and he embraced Project 2025 after running away from it in the lead up of the election because he realized it was so unpopular. He's a white Christian nationalist, as
Yeah.
Don said. Just look at the. I wouldn't even call it a memorial. I call it a propaganda rally for Charlie Kirk in Arizona. That was a white Christian nationalist rally, and white Christian nationalism is essentially white supremacy using Jesus as a mascot. It's a political movement with the cross. And for many people, and I want people to go listen to my conversation with John Fugelsang about how you can use religion and use religious language and use religious communities for social justice. Folks, I give you Martin Luther King. I give you Malcolm X. I give you Romero. I give you Gandhi, right? These people were very religious. And speaking about the Bible, Martin Luther King came from the friggin' tradition, the Southern Baptist tradition. He was a preacher, and his move towards social justice and being against capitalism and being against imperialism and being against war was informed by, wait for it, the Bible. So we do need a reimagining and a re-engagement with religion and take it away from the white Christian nationalists who have hijacked it and have hijacked Jesus. That's my personal take. I saw in the comments that apparently Lev and Danielle were here. Sorry, I'm going to bring them in after I let Don go. I didn't see them. If Danielle and Lev are still here. Don, I kept you a bit longer than I did. You were on fire. I'm sure we're going to piss off so many people. Expect this to be on Fox News or some of those
Can I
far
give
right.
you my response? Because I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
Don't look, okay, fine. If you want to contact me, great, and maybe I can clear something up for you. But here's my response always: like and subscribe. Well, Don, you said such and such and such and such. I'm surprised that you are again. I'm going to play their same game. When you said, well, when I say we shouldn't be rounding people up without due process. Oh, so you're for illegal people coming across the border and running roughshod over America? That's not what I said. So when you say, are you condoning violence for talking about people getting guns? No, I'm surprised that you are against the Constitution, because the Second Amendment of the Constitution says that we have a right to bear arms. And so I'm telling people to get it legally. So why are you even writing a story? What's the problem with that? So that's my response. And my other response is like and subscribe. The Don Lemon Show is on YouTube. If you care to become a member, a subscribe, you can go there, or you can get me on any of the other places where you get digital. I'm on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. I am also on Twitch. It is my new platform. It's twitch.tv/Don Lemon, or you can get me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, anywhere you get socials. That's my response.
Don is the hardest working man in independent media right now. He works about 22 hours a day. He sees his husband for 12 minutes. He sees his dogs for 2 minutes. He sleeps for, I think, 14 minutes, and then he's back at it. But it's very impressive, Don. You've built something from the ground up. He almost has 1 million now followers on YouTube, and he's on the street. He's doing the work. He's taken on the haters. And an unleashed Don is my favorite Don. It took a while to get him here, but credit due, he actually is the one who texted me and said, I haven't forgotten. And then I felt bad. I'm like, man, I see this guy in Chicago. Should I remind him? So I literally just gave him a sincere compliment. I said, great job on reporting. And he goes, let's do it tomorrow. I said, no, that wasn't me being, it's like, wink, wink, come back. It was actually giving him a compliment, but this man has no sleep and he made time. We got 2,200 people watching us right now. Folks, if you caught us late, Don Lemon was on fire, pissing off all the right people. He talked about his reporting from Chicago. He talked about the folks that he met who, like me and Don, just give 0 Fs now. Just enough. Stop playing a rigged game. You know, Don, before I let you go, I've been using this analogy. I used it on your show when it was on CNN. I said, this is the way MAGA operates. They're Lucy, and they have a rigged game, and they have the football, and they're going to lift the football. And all of America is like Charlie Brown, especially corporate media. Lucy you promise not to lift the football this time? And Lucy looks at the camera and goes, he. No, I won't. And Charlie Brown runs, and what happens? She lifts the football and he falls down on his ass again and again and again. And what I always said is stop being like Charlie Brown. Stop playing their game. Stop entering their frame. It's rigged. Just tell them F you, F off. I'm done with you. You're a racist. You celebrate racist. You don't like it? Hit dogs holler. Peace out. Organize the majority. The caravan moves forward. And I think that's the type of energy the rest of us need to bring. Don, thank you so much for your time, folks. Don Lemon Show is when? 6 p.m. tonight?
5 p.m. Eastern. I'm on every weekday, 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern live. And you can come and join the chat. I shout out people. I read their comments, like Kyle and the thing saying, Don is the shit. Don unleashed Allison Linger. I talk to people. So come join me over on the Don Lemon Show. I'm live on YouTube and also on the other platforms.
At 5 p.m., folks. Thanks, Don. Take care, buddy.
Thank you, Waj. I'll see you later, buddy. Thank you.
Later.